Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Yes, today I'm back again with another premium deck profile. I feel like I've not done deck profiles in a very long time. And after my Gamo deck profile, I decided to do deck profiles for all my current premium decks. Unfortunately, I don't play Blade Master anymore in premium, as you'll probably know I play in standard. So I decided to do premium deck profiles for Nightrose. And I'll be doing one more for a very good old friend of mine who's in another deck. Where's he? You have been warned. My next deck profile after this is going to be Cancer. Anyway, so this is the Nightrose premium deck profile, with all the new support. As of the release of this video, this deck is fully updated with all the new support. So literally anything you can think of that's new, I got it. Ghost Ship, I got it. Obatamia, got it. And really, Obatamia has changed a lot of Nightrose premium along with cards like this, because many a times, many of the winning deck profiles used to run or still run this card called Head Start Zombie, which was a card that could train cards into the drop zone for you when called during Hollow, and of course with a GB1. But now with Obatamia, you can instantly train 5 cards once, pulling all your key pieces together, and then you can just win because it's so easy after that. So in this deck profile, I will be going through, of course not really about Obatamia, it's about a beautiful waifu, Nightrose. And yes, if you're wondering why I don't have money to build stuff like Blade Master anymore, it's because I've been seduced to buy this deck. Because Nightrose is an extremely technical deck for anyone who spent 2 days playing this game, I'll be doing this deck profile differently and only for Nightrose and for future updates for Nightrose in the future. I will do it grade by grade. So, 4 of the main Nightrose that we'll be playing. The original Nightrose, which is Vampire Princess of Nightfall, I think, Nightrose. We play 2 copies of Vampire Princess of Starlight Nightrose. And then we play 3 Skull Dragon. I think his name is Skull Dragon. So, I'll rearrange it on the screen. That should clear it up for you. So, we play a total of 9 grade 3s. So 9 grade 3s should not be a surprise because we need to stride. So as many grade 3s as we can, the better. Your main right target is this one. This Nightrose. Oops. Still new camera. Is this Nightrose. The skill is Generation Break 2. Whenever once per turn, whenever a unit retires, mill the top 3 and you can save it, call it the rear guard. Yeah. It only activates once per turn, but you can save any of your rear guards that die during yours or your opponent's turn. So there are many Nightrose players who abuse this technique, and they use defensive ones as well, especially for stuff like the Ghostian family, which I do play. The stand trigger for Ghosties is here. This is the card they abuse because Make the Ghosties skill is he gives your Vanguard plus or a unit plus 10, and it's a hollow unit. So what they usually do is they put him on a rear guard, and then during the opponent's turn, they use G guards to kill it, and then they trigger Nightrose's skill to pull it back, pump 10 to the Vanguard. And I have the foil version for some reason. But we'll get to that in just a bit, and the camera's not focusing. Then we play 2 of this one, Vampire Princess of Starlight Nightrose. This is a very interesting pick for me. I had to fix it too. Any more ratios will just literally kill this deck. The reason why we play this is because one, it has a Nightrose name, so if you have to write her, you still can. And more Nightrose names is always good because we are also playing Vampire Princess of the Rosary Twilight Nightrose. Can't believe I memorized that. Who gain power for every Nightrose name in the drop zone. We'll get to that in just a bit. So more Nightrose names the better. Only at 2 because the ratio would die if we played anymore. Shift back camera so you can see 3 Skull Dragon. Other than that, you don't really use a strike skill. Her strike skill is comparably much worse compared to Nightrose, and she doesn't this Nightrose, and she doesn't have the save ability, the GB2 to mill 3 to save 1. So that's quite bad. But other than that, the main reason why I still play this one is because her skill is on rear guard. Her skill on rear guard, Vanguard or rear guard, but mainly we use on rear guard. It's quite important to me on early game as well as late game if you have to. Soul Blast 1. Whenever your rear guard is called, choose a grade 1 from your drop zone and call it. And this counts for her as well. So if you call Nightrose, this Nightrose, and then after that you Soul Blast, you can instantly fill a column with something else, like say the new Banshee. So it's a good column filler, and it helps because as you all already know by now, Nightrose, especially for the holo keyword, is meant to call really strong temporary boards and then they die. And you need to keep doing this over and over and over again every turn because your holo units will die. So that is mainly the point of it, just to build quick boards. Of course, once you hit stuff like the GB8 and you hit stuff like Rose Red Twilight on high enough ratios, or even Gash if you're very desperate. This guy. We'll get to those in a bit. You can build quick boards and you can beat down the opponent fast and heavy enough. Because Nightrose is a very technical deck, I can't explain everything about the whole deck because it's just impossible. There was a guy a few years ago, he did an encyclopedia for Nightrose. I'm pretty sure his video is an hour long and he only had 3 sets to cover. I have 12. So I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be going through what I picked. We played 3 of the V-Series Skull Dragon because this is an insane beater in Standard and Premium. He dies after he attacks, but there's a reason, because he gets 2k for every card in the drop zone. In the first few stages of the game, the early phases, so your first 1 to 2 strikes, you won't really be using this guy because tops he gains 10k, 12k, and that's pathetic. In the late game, this guy can build 40k. 42k is my highest record with Skull Dragon. So he's a very, very strong beater. And if you use cards to call him repeatedly, like Columbard from the child deck, Pirate Swordsman Columbard, you can get insane wins. And even worse is a really budget-like combo. If you use this one, the GBT06 Nightrose that used to be like $30 a piece, if you play her, of course now she's very cheap, if you play her together with this, you can get 4 whopping attacks at extremely high ratios, which would kill your opponent if you time it well enough. So really, it's all about what you choose to play and how you play the deck. The deck is very technical, and I will be going through the spares that I have tested with personally. So you all would know how you can test around with your Nightrose. I did test for Skull Dragon. For Skull Dragon is good if you don't play these two, because really the ratio just goes out and you will die. You need shields. Even if you draw, there's no point in drawing your whole hand if it's great trees. Even with Obata Mia being able to train some of your great trees, you don't want to be training all your great trees because then you have nothing to strike with. So really it's about striking a balance, and 3 is just enough. Oh, but unless you play Megiddo, you need 4. Megiddo is the one thing I don't have in this deck that I'm too poor to afford. But if you happen to be running Megiddo for your Nightrose build, 4 is a compulsory. So please remember that. 4 is compulsory. There's no question. You play Megiddo, it's 4. But you will cut out Starlight Nightrose now. Grade 2s is a very complicated issue because we are able to train the number of grade 2s or type of grade 2s that we want. We can get a lot of bizarre results. 2 Stormride Ghost Ship, 1 King Serpent, 1 Columbard, 2 Negrulazy, 2 Skeleton Cannoneer, and 2 Negru, for a grand total of 10. Yes, 10. So I'll be going through each pick very detailed, very quickly. So what did I test with? I tested with Maltreat Shade. I'm pretty sure that's the name. Maltreat Shade. I tested with an extra Negrulazy. And I definitely tested with Ruin Shade. Ruin Shade is the OG waifu for those people back in 2013. For you deprived people who were stuck with pirate decks, this was the only waifu. Haha, we live in this society. But I ruled out all these cards for specific reasons. Ruin Shade is just straight up bad. For me, in my opinion. Ruin Shade in early game is very good. It mills 2 and stacks 4k. And then later on when you get 10 or more cards, you get 4k. However, there is never a scenario where you use Ruin Shade and pump 8k. Because by the time you reach the 10 or more cards, all your key cards will be in the drop zone. And if you mill any more, then you're just plain dumb because you're killing your chances of winning by milling your triggers. That's what Negruk was there in this deck for. Negruk is one of the later additions that I tested and it's really good. Negruk has Hollow, which I'll explain later. That actually Hollow units are very hard to come by these days. The Hollow keyword is especially good with a new card I have new respect for, and that's Dragoon, which I will get to that. He is a solid by himself 9 plus 7k, whereas at any point in time, if you play Ruin Shade, it's only 9 plus 4k. Sure, in the early game you can get that power, but for Nightrose, it's really about tempo and surviving long. There's no point in small term measures, but in long term you lose out. So Ruin Shade is up to your own discretion, but I personally don't agree. There was also the option of Greed Shade, but I'm too poor, and I also don't see the reason for Greed Shade, because Greed Shade just recycles cards, and there's no point in recycling if you can just draw it instead of recycling and killing cards. We only play 2 Stormlight Ghost Ship. Stormlight Ghost Ship is a very good beater for early game / main game, because it can't be called to the Rearguard or Guardian Circle, so if you draw him, you need to ride him, or I don't know how I was going to discard him. PG, yeah, that could. Or you could just use Obadamir to train them out, which I will later tell you what cards to train out with Obadamir. Later on, this guy, when he attacks, he gets plus 15, then kill it, draw a card. He covers all the weak spots for Nightrose, which is power and draw. So he's instantly in. But 2 apiece because we can't afford too many, not in terms of monetary value, but in terms of gameplay wise. 2 Skeleton Cannoneer. I've experimented with 4, I experimented with 3, it's just too much. 2 is good enough, and with Obadamir, we can trade. Really, I'm bringing up Obadamir because he's such a good first strike, and he is the first strike. So he helps you train and sets you up for the late game, and so that's why this deck can afford so many different types of grade 2s. 1 Columbard, because any more would just not make any more sense. Counterblast 1, when he attacks, I think it's when boosted, I'm not too sure, call a card from your drop zone. So that is how you get the multi-attacks, the one, the only Skull Dragon. Or during early game, if you're using this and you don't intend to use Skull Dragon, you can just pop another Ghost Ship. That's perfectly fine. At the same time, we also play 1 King Serpent because immediate counter charge and immediate soul charge is sometimes quite valuable. Although King Serpent is more of a tech in piece. That's why we only play 1. So I do use him with Obadamir to train him to the drop zone, and then I wait. If there is really a need for me to get an immediate counter charge or soul charge, then it's King Serpent. But other than that, not really. If you don't mind getting a bit more delayed investment, consider Negrolazy. I have tried him at 3, but honestly, it was just too resource intensive, so he went back to 2. Negrolazy's skill is Hollow. CB1 SB1, when called, can be from hand, it doesn't have to be from drop. Call a grade 2 or lower card from the drop zone, he gains plus 2, and at the end of the turn, when he dies due to Hollow, counter charge 1, soul charge 1. So that is if you don't mind a bit of delayed investment. For the grade 1s, I'm probably going to split this video in 2 because there's no way I can cover it. I mean, I would combine it later on, but my throat's going to die. We play 3 Seawall Banshee, 1 Dolph the Ghosty, because he's 7k. No, seriously, just because he's 7k, and he's a Ghosty. Romario at 3, Trolling Banshee, Ripple Banshee, at 3, and 4 Tommy the Ghosty Brothers. It makes sense for Tommy the Ghosty Brothers because he's a strike fodder, and he searches for the correct Nightrose that you need. So, he's a 4, no need to explain him. This is one of the new additions. Ripple Banshee, very expensive. My wallet died for this one. But the skill is, when placed from the drop zone, Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and pump 4. When I explain this card, I instantly need to explain Romario. Romario's skill is, when your drop zone has 10 or more cards, he gains plus 4. So he also gains a plus 4 continuously as long as you have 10 or more. But then again, once it comes to about the second strike, or the first strike even, you wouldn't have 10 or more. The second skill is a more interesting one. When rolled upon, counterblast 1, look at the top 3 cards, mill 2, and add 1 to your hand. The second cost is put a card from your hand to the soul. So he builds Soul. Where is that card? Oh my lord. Seriously, where are you guys? He builds Soul for Gash. Since Gash is the card that builds you a field with Soul. So he's a good. So Romario is your ideal version, right? Then again, if you want to tinker around Soul, it's this, and Gash most of the time. Ripple Banshee draws the card in +4. It's an on-play skill, but the draw is extremely powerful. And for Romario and Ripple Banshee, there is a catch. They don't have Hollow, so if you're not using Rose Red Twilight to call them out, because Rose Red Twilight enforces Hollow into all units, you can, and I'm really not kidding, you can keep these cards on board for very long. Although you wouldn't really want Ripple Banshee very long because it's on place and that's it. You would want Romario around for quite a while, maybe through your first or second stride, because he can consistently give you a 12k booster. Of course, later on, once Rose Red Twilight or your GB8 comes in the field, he has to die and be replaced. Even if it's by another Romario, that Romario will die. Wait, not for the GB8, for Rose Red Twilight. But you get the point. Romario and Ripple Banshee can stay on the board longer if needed, and they are good because they are 8k boosters and 10k shield. However, you should play only about 3 of these because you can train them. Maybe Romario 4, I didn't test that one, but I do know that they're both extremely helpful in terms of hand and setting up. So these are must for Nightrose Premium from the standard format. 2, 1. Dolph the Ghosty is here because it's a normal Ghosty. Sometimes we need to call normal Ghosties, so yeah, that's really it. And then there's this one, the Nightrose PG. Of course, the first 3 skills make sense. Sentinel, Hollow, PG. The last skill is more interesting. Generation Break 2, Soblast 1, discard a card from your hand. When this Hollow unit dies, put it into your hand. Choose one of its kind, i.e. the same copy, and another copy of the same card. Sorry. Put it at the bottom of your deck. So it saves you 2 perfect guards. And then after that, it swaps 1 card out for a perfect guard, saves another perfect guard. Why not? The only problem I see with this card is that it takes up rear guard space. It has to be the Hollow unit and it has to die. So maybe that would cost you a bit more power in terms of the grade 1 boosting. But other than that, I don't see why not. Use that one at your discretion. You don't have to use it all the time. When you're running out and you need perfect guards, use it. Replay 4 Wailing Banshee because nothing can replace the original. You just need to call cards, put it in the soul instantly to draw. You build up soul, you build up hand. It's a very good situation. There is no discussion for this one. This is the card that got banned and then unbanned. But I tested it out before. But 4 is just too weak because it is a 5k. It is a 5k trigger and a 10k shield. I was tested out this one when it was relevant. Of course, it's not because of the premium format, the premium set. And I tested Bernard the Ghosty because he works very well with one of my G guards. However, all of them share the same weakness: too low shield value, too low trigger value. And that's why we really have to use discretion when playing it. We can't go happy, even though there are lots of good G series triggers for Nightrose, but they just don't work. Other than that, we start using some of the V series crits. 2 of it actually. 1 Night Spirit and 1 JoJo reference arrow guy. I don't know. I'm just sad JoJo's ending. I'm waiting for part 7. Draw triggers, not draw PG. Draw triggers from V. And heal triggers from V. All of them share the same trait, high trigger value, which is what they're here for. Our starter is Grenache. We can spend a whole minute talking about him because he's just that important. Grenache's skill, Hollow, when it dies, counter charge shield. I still cannot believe to this day, even though it's been something like 3 years plus, that Bushiroad put such a valuable card in the trial deck. It just shocks me that till this day he's still relevant. I've never heard of a trial deck starter that's relevant till now. Not even Glime. Glime is replaced by Bangal next set. Hooray. But this guy is still surprisingly relevant and he's surprisingly good. He is one of the main counter charge engines in your deck. And he ensures that almost every turn, as long as he's on board, you can make sure you still have CB for next turn. And Nightrose is a CB intensive deck, a very resource intensive deck. And that's why it takes a lot of time to learn and play this deck. Even though I obtained and finished building this deck in something like March, I had to test with just so many different spares and all the other commons in my cupboard until I reached this guy. So he's good no matter what, absolutely irreplaceable. You have to go with him. And even if you don't play him in your main, as your starting Vanguard, if you play like, I don't know, Captain Nightkid, if you like Nightkid, you still need him in the deck because Counter Charge 2 is not something every Grand Blue card offers you. My strategy for Grenache, I usually keep him in Soul. I don't call him out. And then I use a Soul Blast, pull him out, call him back. Alright, to the G-Zone cards. Honorable mentions, Negranera. I'm not going to mention Skull Dragon, you're not relevant anymore. Or Eclipse Dragon Hops, I think that was your name. Not mentioning you. Honorable mentions, Negranera. Negranera is a good card, I'm not going to lie. It mills 4. Sorry, it looks at top 4. Save 1. Then call a card from the rear guard, from the drop zone, sorry. You pump +5 for every flip up G card. And it's obviously an X attack because you can do it after Negranera attacks. This is a good strike, but I felt it was lacking because it does not give me instant board value. It has to be after she attacks. And most of the time, that one attack, pump 5, it's weak because this was relevant when Nightrose lacked high numbers. When Nightrose needed something to just pump in the same number and just whack the guy and hopefully win. Now we have stuff like Skull Dragon, we have stuff like the Ghost Ship. So all these cards have now instantly dropped to being irrelevant. So honestly, there is no need for me to continue playing this card or this card strategy to begin with because it just doesn't fit into the deck anymore. I just had to mention because this is a key card. And for those of you who are doing your research for Nightrose or you're building a deck in Nightrose or interested to learn more about my religion that is Nightrose, you are going to come across this card a lot in deck profiles. And I have to put this discretion that she is not viable in my opinion. Of course, if your strategy happens to include her, by all means, please continue playing her. But most of the time, the general strategy has changed if you're planning to incorporate a new support. Especially from the V series. Okay, strikes. MVP, Big O Bardomir. Big O Bardomir's skill is Counter Blast 1. Choose a card from your G zone and flip it. Any card. Alright? And then after that, mill 5 cards from your deck. Any 5 you want. And now, these are the targets. If I'm milling, I have to mill a Skull Dragon. Because I don't know if it's going to end up in there or not. Okay, sorry. Skull Dragon is a good target. The Cannoneers are a good target. You don't have to mill both, but at least one. They are a good target. Definitely your King Serpent. He is a good target too. Columbard, in case he's already not in the drop zone. Because you only play one of King Serpent and Columbard, there is the danger that they're in the damage zone. But this is what you can mill. Both Ghost Ships, because you cannot risk pulling them as a drive check. They will be useless in the hand. Hold on, I'll be back. Hey guys, I'm very sorry for the technical difficulties. The last card that we will be milling is at least one Ripple Banshee because her ability only activates from the drop zone. In fact, she's usually one of the first call targets for Bardomir. Even if you mill these cards, you wouldn't necessarily have to call it, but this is a must. So I'll just leave this here so you have a general idea of what this deck will mill. Because I can't teach every strategy in the Nightrose deck, but this is the most important strategy, setting up for early game. So this is something I have to teach. Now I have to keep this by. Now I have to keep this by. Now I have to keep it by. This will take a while. Okay, next. Alright, moving on for G-Zone. I'll not put all the cards down at once, I'll have to talk. I don't know your name, I'm very sorry. But when you Soul Blast 1 and you have 15 or more cards in the drop zone, she gets 15k shield, 30k block, very strong. Don't use her when you have 14 cards, 12 cards, 5 cards. 15 is the magic number for her. Negro Lily, very cute G-Guard. Skill Countless 1, retire a unit. Call a ghosty from your drop zone. It has to be a normal ghosty, normal unit ghosty. So normal unit ghosty, we play Dolph the ghosty and Tommy the ghosty brothers. Those are the only two in the deck. That's why we played Dolph. And then after that, bump them to her shield. So 25k block, swaps a rearguard for a ghosty. She's the one that can work well with defensively, with Nightrose. That's the one that kills rearguards, and then you use that combo I mentioned earlier in the video. 2 Negro, flip 1 G card, call 2 cards from the drop zone as shield. So you can call literally anything. You can call a heal trigger that you just dropped, 20,000 shield. You can also call a PG. So very good, very effective. Used for impossible numbers that you have to block. Where is it? Vampire Princess of the Rose Red Twilight, Nightrose at 4. This comes in a set of 4, so you can't say you're on a budget. The skill is Counterblast 1, flip one of her in the G zone. For every card flipped up in the G zone, plus 1. Yeah, that's very interesting. For every one, plus 1. So let's say you have 3, her skill calls 4 instead of 3. And then you call it to rearguard as hollow. So all rearguards you call, whether they have hollow or not, will die at the end of your turn. So your board is temporary. Alright? And then after that, if you call 3 or more, she gets a crit. Free crit. The thing I have to note is, if you have 5 cards or more flipped up in the G zone, plus 1, do you have to call and retire it? Yes and no. You can just choose to forego that step if you keep recalling the same card. But if they have on-place abilities, it means they can stack. That is something I have to mention. The second skill is why cards like this one are added in the deck. When she attacks, for every card that is Nightrose in the drop zone, choose one of your units, it gets plus 5. So if you have something like 3 or more cards with Nightrose in the drop zone, you can pump 5 to 3 of your units, which is a very good effect for free. Miss Phantasm, Pirate King Nightrose, Comblast 2, after she attacks, you flip one of her, call 2 rearguards from the drop zone. So, because it's a when she attacks, you can pop Skull Dragons as a finisher. If you're not intending to finish, or you know you can't finish, stuff like this, it helps. So it's a really good multi-attacker. My only thing is, do not play this card. I repeat, do not play this card with this. If you do, you will lose his invested interest of the counter charge 1, soul charge 1. He has to die by a hollow ability, i.e. at the end of the turn. If he does not die by that mean or by any other means, you're going to skip this effect. Unless that's what you want. 2 Gash. Gash, count plus 1, soul plus 1. Choose a Gash, flip it up. Put as many cards as you want from your soul into your drop zone. For every card that you drop, call a card to your rearguard. From the drop zone, obviously. And then for each card flipped up in the G zone, pump plus 1 to each of them. So let's say you had 4 cards in the soul. You use a skill, soul plus 1. So you can choose up to 3 cards from your soul, remove it, and then call up to 3 cards to your field. And these cards don't have to have hollow. So this is the one situation when you can build a field fast and well and they won't die. It's something Rose Red Twilight cannot do, but he does give him some form of power, the plus 1, but Gash forgoes a crit. So the cards in Grand Blue, really, the thing I'm trying to tell you is they're all very similar but different. So you have to know what situation they're used for. Dragoot skill is count plus 2, drop a card. For every card on your rearguard, call a new card to the rearguard. That means you clone. For example, you have 2 rearguards, you now can call 2 more. Alright? And then after that, for every hollow card you call, retire one of your opponent's rearguard. If your opponent has no rearguards now, you draw a card. There are not a lot of hollow units in this deck, but that is why I insisted on stuff like Rook and Skeleton Cannoneer. This can make that happen. And now you will understand why I insisted I was doing a very long talk on these two. Alright, Rebel Banshee and Romario can stay around on the board for one extra turn. When they do, you can then subject them to Dragoon. Dragoon clones, you can pull off 2 cards like these. Or 2 Cannoneers, that's the best situation. Retire all these rear guards if he has 3 or less. Because, you know, you can use the Cannoneer skill, retire 1. Use 2 Cannoneer skill, retire 2. Draw 2 cards. Dragoon also triggers. For the 2 Cannoneers, you retire another 2. So you can retire 4. And then with new rear guards, draw a card. It's complicated. Dragoon is one of the hardest strikes to master in this deck. In my opinion, it took me a very long time to find a good deck ratio and good deck choices. I personally never played him for a very long time until I learned what he meant and how to use it. The GB8 is just raw power. When placed, call 5 cards from your rear guard, give them all plus 10. At the end of your turn, you need to kill them all. Oh yes, so that means yes, you have to you kind of give them a hollow-like effect. You have to kill them all. So yeah, he's used as your insane finisher. I don't have to talk about him. You should be able to get the gist on why this is powerful. But in case you don't, if you need multiple attacks for a finisher turn, please remember Columbine. Columbine is a mini Miss Phantasm on rear guard. Just remember that when you want to finish your opponent. So yeah, I finally done it. I've wrapped up this deck profile. Honestly, this deck profile is insanely overdue. So I'm just so happy I could get this deck done. What do you think of this deck? Do you think it was a good deck? Do you think it's a bad deck? What do you think? Honestly, Nightrose is one of the greatest waifus of all time. And I'm just so happy to be able to build this deck. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, this comprehensivist guide on the current Nightrose support for premium, let me know in the comment section below. Remember, this deck is updated to the latest one, which is currently My Glorious Justice. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.